All right, welcome to the Value Podcast, where valuable people attract people of value. I'm Jamel Jackson, your relationship mechanic. I focus on preparing, evaluating, and giving you the tools you need to maintain healthy relationships. I told you guys, if you guys been listening, watching the podcast, there are tools being dropped along the way to help you have healthy relationships. Today, I got the genius, the mad violinist. First of all, I don't want to call you the mad violinist, like Ashanti.
Ashanti.
Because before it was the mad violinist, it was Ashanti. What's going on, beautiful people? I'm sorry I had to interrupt your value time, but people have been asking me, Jamel, how do I support the Value Podcast? I want to support, I want to show some love. Well, you can go to vpapov.com. That's vpapov.com and grab yourself some value gear. And for those that have been watching and they say, man, I like this wisdom, I like the conversations that's taking place, how can I work with you one-on-one? You can go to jameldjackson.com. That's jameldjackson.com. Click the link, head to the website. Let's work together. I want to see you have the best, amazing, healthy relationships in your life. Back to the podcast.
It was Ashanti. And I look, that's what I tell people to call me first. Is I'm just Ashanti.
So where you from?
I'm from Tallahassee, Florida.
Tallahassee, Florida.
Born
Ain't y'all
and
from
raised.
Florida? Y'all from
Orlando.
Huh?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they from Orlando. Yeah.
My father's from Tallahassee. My mom's from West Palm Beach.
Okay.
And so I'm a Florida baby.
Born and
Florida
raised.
boy. Born and raised. I lived there all the way up until college when I moved to Boston. And then I moved here probably like 14 years ago or something, 13, 14 years ago.
Okay. So were you raised by both parents?
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
It was great.
Did you have a great childhood? Because I always think about creatives. Some creatives always have like a challenging childhood. You know
what? I had a really good, simple childhood. You know, my parents weren't rich. They weren't poor. And because of that, they taught us to appreciate the simple things in life. You know, they really poured all of their fruit and the things that they knew into us. Me and my siblings and I have a twin brother and two sisters.
You got a twin brother and two sisters. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so I lived a great small town childhood where everybody knew each other, a great community, God-fearing parents, grew up in the church, but also grew up with parents that love hip-hop too, you know, and other things like that. And so I grew up in a very cultured community.
So what made you want to dive into the playing the violin?
My mom plays.
Oh, your mom plays the violin?
My mom is a professional violinist too.
Oh, okay.
She started teaching all of us when we were 3. My mom was like ahead of her time, a gospel violinist and a pastor. You know, my mom still can play a love song better than on the violin better than anybody that I know.
Wow.
You know, she put all her dreams on hold to teach us and run a violin school. She had a violin school when I was younger at FAMU.
Okay.
And then she went on to have her own violin school. And she's mentored so many violinists. I mean, she has students at Juilliard now.
Wow.
And other places, you know. And so, I mean, it was just my life growing up, watching her sell out her shows in the gospel arena, travel, watching her from here to Bermuda, you know. It was just life.
So it's like innately like in your DNA.
My kids play too, 3 generations.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did your siblings play too?
They can. We played growing up. We were like a family quintet. My father is in law enforcement in the Federal Bureau, but he's also a pianist and choir director.
Wow.
That's how my parents met. My mom was going to school at Florida State playing the violin. My father was going to school at FAMU. He was running track and playing the piano. Okay. And my father put up a flyer one day looking for a violinist for his band. It was called Genesis. It was a gospel group. And he found my mom.
Genesis. Man, that's freaking dope, man. Man, when I grew up, if you was playing the violin, they'd be cracking on you, man.
Man,
Like, you playing the violin, that would have been soft where I was at. And it's stupid because you want to get into it, but it's like, dudes, man, you soft, man. You playing the violin.
It was at first. I grew up on the South Side. You know, I grew up. To give you an idea, I grew up with T-Pain. He was one of my best friends growing up.
Okay.
You know, so if you look at what he does now, I mean, that's the kind of environment. I grew up in FAMU. I was raised by Rattlers, you know, and so I remember in the 6th grade, and when I wanted to be in band, I was a drum section leader at my middle school. Payne was in the drum section too, and his father played the drums in FAMU's band.
Okay.
And I remember the first day of school, the band teacher asked everybody who wanted to play, and I said, well, I play the violin, and he goes, well, we don't have violins at the school, and the whole class left. You know, and so I played the drums instead. But about the time I got from middle school, I remember in 8th grade, I learned if I take my instrument and learn the language of my community, it might not be so bad, you know? And so...
Hold on a second. You got to explain that to me. I kind of caught that when you said it, but I ain't really...
I was about to break it down.
Okay, go ahead, break it down.
So I remember one day in 8th grade, I went to school and I was doing a project on Mozart. And I played for my class a little bit of Mozart. But then I forgot what song it was, but it was a song on the radio. And they lost their minds, you know? And then I played a gospel song. I played Amazing Grace. And since then, I gained the respect of my classmates. And from 8th grade all the way through high school, everybody didn't want me to come to school without my violin. Most of the time, all my friends were motivating and encouraging and like, yo, you know, play this Ja Rule song on the violin. Yo, play this. And I could play anything by the time I got to high school. And I was also the drum section leader. I used to dance all the time. I was crazy. I was crazy as hell. I was sometimes the class clown. Me and my twin brother, we used to turn up. You know, so I was a part of putting the dance routines together for the marching band. I was just one of those all-around people, you know, but I grew up around motivating friends where I showed them what the violin can be in my community, that it wasn't just this classical voice. You know, I was playing on the other side of town in orchestra where nobody looked like me. You know, all my siblings, we were the best in Tallahassee. We were first chair. We were making people that didn't look like us mad.
Wow.
You know, we were just, my mom she taught us so young that we were on the collegiate level by the time we got to high school. She was sending me to Florida State to take lessons when I was like in the 10th grade. I would get on the local city bus after school once a week, go take lessons at Florida State, get on the city bus again, go to my mom's violin school, or go back to high school because I played sports too.
What kind of sports?
I played basketball. I ran track.
Was you nice?
I was nice at track.
Okay.
The most, you know. I was a good athlete growing up. My twin brother went on to college to play football. You know, I played baseball a lot. I was really good at baseball. I was quick. And so I grew up in a sports and a musician family, you know.
So would you say like this, because what I'm hearing is like that musical side of you, especially the violin, allowed you to establish relationships. Because when you said like first they were like, man, clowning you, like, man, nobody want to hear that. And then you switched the tune and made it relatable to them.
I learned that the music is a language young. My mom used to tell me that all the time. You know, I would listen to her. I mean, I would watch her growing up. She would go to church and she would floor the church playing, like have people going crazy. You know, I remember a guy going up to my mom and he didn't even know her, and he proposed to her when I was younger after she played in church, you know. And so I was fortunate enough to see her do it, you know. And so turning on the radio and playing the every song that I knew was just something that was natural for me because I watched my mom do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Is your mom, is she still around?
Yeah. My mom, She plays all the time. Because of my success, she's revitalized a lot of her career. She travels to Africa, Israel. She plays with top gospel artists and other things, you know.
Yeah.
But she's a prominent teacher still. She teaches mainly kids on the south side of Tallahassee. You know, a lot of students. Like I said, there's kids from the south side of Tallahassee in Juilliard right now that she taught.
Now, south side, that's like the rough part of Tallahassee?
That's like...
I'm not familiar with Florida like that.
Yeah, that's like the rough part, you know. It's the, I guess, the less fortunate part of Tallahassee, but at the same time, I feel like it's the richest part because that's where, you know, where in those parts, that's where all the talent is. You know what I mean? When it gets to athletes and musicians and everything else, we were the most gifted. We just didn't have the most resources, but we made the most out of the resources we had.
Yeah.
You know, we couldn't tell that we didn't have that many resources because the simple things to us were the best. Our parents raised us like, you could put us outside all day and we'll have the greatest time. You give us a stick, we'll have the greatest time. I was always outside, younger, playing football and basketball in the neighborhood when I wasn't playing violin. You know,
that's not happening now.
That's not happening at all
That's
right
not
now.
happening now.
These days, you're not coming back home.
So let me ask you this, man. You playing that violin, your mom about to get proposed to from playing it. I know you had to attract some people, some ladies.
I've had a life, you know.
I know. I'm about to go down that lane. So tell me about that, man. Like, was that hard? Once, I mean, because you playing the violin, I'm pretty sure you're drawing a lot of attention outside of dudes like, yo, that's dope, man. You know, ladies, that's dope.
I mean, yeah, it was hard. In my young 20s, I was, especially after I became like almost a household name in my world, like pretty young. When I was 19, I started playing with B.B. King. He was my first mentor.
Play with B.B. King, bro?
Yeah.
The B.B. King?
He was my first mentor. He was my first professional gig. He was the one who taught me to really turn my instrument into a voice, you know, coming out of Berkeley, because I didn't finish at Berkeley. I couldn't afford it. I got a full scholarship there. I was the first violinist to get a full scholarship at Berkeley College of Music, but I couldn't afford to live because the scholarship didn't include living. I had a twin brother in college. I had a big sister in college and a little sister about to go to college, and my parents was just struggling to keep it together. And so I went out on the streets, took my talents to the streets, and then when I ended up playing with B.B. King, I ended up on 106 and Park with Free and AJ. You know?
Hold on. When was this shit? What year was you on 106 and Park?
2003. I remember they had some segment, and that's why I introduced myself as the mad violinist. And I also played I Ain't Never Scared by Bone Crusher because it was the #1 video during that time. And since then, I've just been on a path. I went on to teach for Britney Spears summer camps and tour with Lupe Fiasco. Do a lot of things, you know. Lupe Fiasco was my first real tour where I got a sense of women throwing themselves at you. You know what I mean? It was like a big shock. And during that time, I was also on his song that I think that was like my second or third Grammy nomination, was playing on his song, The Show Goes On.
Okay, yeah.
You know that song?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So you listen to that song and hear all the strings and the violin, that's me on there.
Word?
Yeah, I was sleeping on the couch during that time, you know. Did that song, shout out to my homie Kane Beats. Kane is in the building. We had a really good run in my 20s on records, you know. With him, I was on songs like Right Above It by Lil Wayne. So many songs, 3 Nicki Minaj albums I did all the strings on. Pink Print, she featured me on a song called Grand Piano. You know, I mean, a lot of that success and relationships and just women in general and things like that. That came so fast. I learned a lot of hard lessons. You know what I mean? About how to separate Ashanti Floyd and the mad violinist, because there's a lot of things I didn't know and that I was unprepared for. You know, because I've always been I'm known to be a really nice person, inviting. You know, and a lot of times I would shoot myself in the foot, being that way, not trusting my discernment and things like that. And
so what did you get like involved with women along the tours or things like that? First of all, why'd you name yourself the Mad Violinist?
Because when I was a student at Berkeley, the students gave me that name because I used to go so crazy that my bow hairs would fly all over the place. You know, I would lose some shows. I would lose all of the hair going crazy. I used to love Jimi Hendrix and all these people, Erykah Badu, and I would mimic Jimi Hendrix and just go wild, and people would be like, "Man, you're so mad." But after a while, the meaning of mad became modern, artistic, and dynamic.
Modern, artistic, and dynamic. Dope.
You know?
I like that.
So I got thrown into this life pretty young and fast, you know? And without learning a lot of lessons, without having a mentor, you know, on how to be an artist and be in a relationship, without learning the things to look out for. I learned a lot of things the hard way. And I wasn't in a lot of relationships because I was always one of those person. If I'm in a relationship, I always think long term. You know, I've dealt with learning how to deal with women on the road because they used to just throw themselves at me. When I was on tour with Lupe, I was like, I was young. I was like, oh man, this is awesome. At first, you know. I wasn't crazy because I had my boundaries. At the same time, I learned the difference in between somebody liking you for your being attracted to your gifts and somebody being attracted to who you are. I had a hard time deciphering that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the hardest part.
So what's one of the pitfalls that you had to experience?
Man, I'm a single father of 3 kids now.
Are they all from the same woman? Okay.
But, and I'm being careful on this out of respect for her. You know, I have a great co-parenting relationship. When we met, I was 30 years old. I'm 38 now. And I was traveling in the world at the peak of a lot of things. Like, as far as violin, like, people know me as a pioneer. When you see all these R&B and hip-hop violinists all over the internet, most of them used to watch me growing up. I mentored them. And so, in my 20s, I was like the violinist on YouTube. I have over 40 million views on YouTube. Just all over. I mean, Trey Songz used to tweet my videos. Ocho Cinco is one of my biggest fans. He bought my album and tweeted it, and just so many other things. I mean, everybody became the people's person, you know? And I sort of just dove into a relationship with another artist, you know, a dancer. And I learned, you know, sometimes people have intentions, and it doesn't mean that they have bad intentions.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful with your gifts and people's intent. That's what I learned. Like, being in a relationship and having a gift, sometimes people can, in general, I'm not talking about my kid's mom, but in general, sometimes people lick their chops And instead of keeping you at a place in a working relationship, they feel like they need to get you into more in order to work with you.
Now hold on, what is? Because this may be a Tallahassee statement you just made. Lick your chops. What is that? Because I can't just have you say that, and I don't even know what that means. Like, I'm thinking of lamb chops or something.
People get the wide eyes, and they look at you, and they have all these aspirations for, and look ahead, you know, for what they can be with you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, man, if I get in some type of relationship with him, he can help me with my arts. Mm-hmm. He can build on these things and become all these things for me. But without getting to know me first.
So
you know?
is like what happened? Like, why did you guys not work out?
Well, I think it was a situation where even me, I'm guilty of it too, is we fell in love with each other's gifts first. You know what I mean? We didn't start from the root of things. From like, hey, come to my hometown, this is who I am. You know, we just dove into Netflix and chill and let's do shows together. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so from the jump, I felt like I jumped into this relationship as the mad violinist and not Ashanti Floyd. Mm. And we had our first child so fast, like 4 months.
4 months after you guys met?
After dating. Because we met doing a show together. My friend wanted me to use my music for this show. She's a dance choreographer. She choreographed all the dance, and I did all the music, and we were working together. And I think the whole power couple thing, you know how people talk about we could be this amazing power couple with our gifts, got so much in the way that we totally forgot about being friends first. Mm-hmm. You know, just dove into this bright-eyed relationship, and after a while, you know, I'm like, what are we doing? You know, like, we just had a kid and you still don't know me. Mm. You don't know me from the root. And so when I meet your friends and everybody's approaching me as a mad violinist and not as Ashanti Floyd from Tallahassee. Mm. You know what I mean? And I heard Andre 3000 talk about this the other day too. About just as an artist, just wanting to feel normal around people. Mm-hmm. Like, I've struggled with that for so many years because people come at me like, I tried to date. I've been separated 3 years, and I tried to date recently. It was a DJ and a lady, a DJ, and I told myself after this, man, I don't know if I want to get in any more performing arts relationships. But it was a situation where I helped her out, and it kind of reminded me of the things that I've been through. And she would introduce me to people. I went and out to her gig and I played the violin with her and helped her out. And when she was introducing me to people, she goes, "This right here is the mad violinist." You know, and she was like, she asked, "Do you want me to call you Ashanti or the mad violinist?" I was like, "My name is Ashanti." You know, and then somebody else came and she introduced me to them. She introduced me as the mad violinist again. You know? Mm. And I was like, man, what's up with this? You know? Like, trying to separate myself has always been the challenge, and I had to take a look at myself a lot too. Like, how am I stepping in when I introduce myself to people?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always introduce myself as Ashanti. You wouldn't even know I played the violin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I don't like for people to talk to me like almost like in third person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? First, before they get to know me. So I was surrounded by a community of people I met in my 30s from my relationship that would ask me about my day or how I was doing. And I'd be like, cool. Then they ask me about the violin, but then I get a whole big sense of envy and jealousy and people rolling their eyes and things like that from the people around me, from people that just met me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh man, he's about to talk about himself again. Well, you asked.
Yeah.
This is who I am. And so it got to be really uncomfortable because no one had my back. I was like by myself, just trying to be Ashanti while I was getting comments and hearing comments and seeing comments like, oh, he thinks he's this, and oh, he thinks he's that. When I'm just trying to be a father, raise my kids, proud of who I am because of the long journey that I took.
Mm-hmm.
And I have people in a circle that would hate for me to even smile, you know, because of who I am or my accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
And before I got into a new relationship and invited a lot of people in my space, it wasn't like that. All my friends were genuine. You know what I mean?
So are you in a relationship now?
No, I don't want to be.
Okay.
Right now, I'm really just focused on my kids.
Okay.
I have people trying,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
Is it still a struggle for you to differentiate or decipher? Like, are they coming for the gift or are they coming for Ashanti?
I'm a whole lot better now. I noticed a lot of things that I was doing that I was making mistakes with too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was making mistakes jumping into things with people rather than seeing if we could become friends first, just because it felt great. You know what I mean? And so from the things that I've learned how to manage my space more.
Okay.
You know, and decipher who's being genuine versus who's there for my gifts. Like the DJ I told you about. Once I got that sense of what she was doing, I backed up. 10 years ago, I would have stayed like, yeah, just call me Ashanti, you know? But I noticed how much she wanted to tell people that she was with the mad violinist more than Ashanti. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. You see that a lot in the entertainment business too, because I got a lot of family in the entertainment business, and it's hard for people to decipher or even approach them for them versus either their accolades or their status or their following or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it gets weird for me, man. I'm like, man, now I just back up from that type of space and that type of energy. Now I'm in a really good place. Like, I know that everybody in my circle are really good friends and there for me because I've separated those people, you know? And sometimes it was really hard because I've had friends for 10 years who I thought were on my side as Ashanti, but their intent, once I figured out what they wanted, and I set boundaries, got nasty, you know, and so I learned lessons with relationships in general, friends, my circle, you know, and sort of put a guard and some boundaries up. You know what I mean? Once I set those boundaries, life started to become a whole lot better, and I could see a whole lot more clear.
I tell you this, man, I'm actually sitting here listening to you intently, and it's helping me. It's blessing me right now, man. Real talk. So this is what I'm. So let's say somebody that's watching this or listening to this. What would you say to that creative, to that artist, to that entertainer that has that? They might not even be that high in the entertainment business, but everybody's level is different. Like for what you've seen and what you've been through, what would you say to them as a word of encouragement or wisdom?
Man, I would say to make sure that the people
in the relationship aspect,
and that the person that's there for you is there to be a vessel, and not there waiting on you to be somebody or waiting on you to do something, but there to be a vessel to help you get there. Because when people are there in a relationship and they use language like, oh, you never do what you said you're going to do, or just waiting on you to become successful in certain aspects, then you won't be, because they put that negative energy upon you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They're not there to be a vessel. They're there to get what they can from you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so my advice would be just to be careful, be patient, and trust your discernment and know people's intent. Mm-hmm. You know?
So I got 3 words that I ask every guest, and they coming down the pipeline. When I ask you the word, you got to tell me what that word means to you. So the first word, hold up, because I put these words in here last night, for you is trial.
Trial. What does trial mean to me? To experience unapologetically. So what trial means to me. To make sure you're your best self before you open the door to anything or anyone else.
Okay. Next word is longevity.
Patience. Life isn't a race. Great things come as long as you're being yourself and staying true to yourself. That's what longevity is to me. A lot of times people put a time stamp on being successful, but being successful isn't a time. It's how you stay true to yourself, and as long as you do that, you'll always be winning in life. That's what longevity.
All right, getting deep over here. Last word, standard.
Standard, values, principles, morals, you know, setting a standard with those, faith, setting a standard with those and living by them, integrity, you know. Mm-hmm. And if you set those standards, you'll be all right in life. You'll never have to question anything, and you'll always attract the right people. You know?
Listen, man, I'm trying to tell y'all the tools be getting dropped on my podcast. This is a very mellow, monotone podcast, and I enjoyed it, man. But, Ashanti, you got the violin up there. I want the people to hear you. Throw a little something. Actually, so you say you can play anything?
I play any genre.
Can you play anything?
Yeah.
We're going to close this Value Podcast out with one of my favorite songs. I know you know this song. Sade, By Your Side.
Man, I wish you could pull it up right now. The instrumental up right now.
Give him one? Did I give him a challenge?
I thought she was going to say Sweet as Taboo or something.
Nah, that's cool. That's cool, but nah. Oh, okay. All right, I'll give you a different one then. Because I'm old school. I like old school.
Let me rephrase that. I can jam to anything. Like if you put that song on right now, I could jam to it.
Okay, well then let's do that. Let me get my my phone be acting weird. I get another one. Anita Baker, Same old loving. From beginning to end, 365 days of the year. Well, you can move the mic back. Unless you could be able to sit there and do it.
Huh?
You be able to sit right there and do it?
Let me see.
Oh, snap.
I'm trying to remember that melody in my head. You throwing out some classics.
Classics right here, man.
Like when I say I can play anything, if I had my
Classic.
laptop right now, I would pull that song up, the instrumental,
Yeah.
and I would play it. I had to hear
Can
it.
one of y'all pull? What, are you able to pull it up? I can't sing, so I ain't gonna try to sing it. Same old loving.
Same old loving. You pick artists. I know their song, some of their songs, but the song you pick, I don't play often.
You want the instrumental or just the regular?
Let me hear a little bit of the regular and then play the instrumental.
We gonna
Once I hear the melody one good time, we could roll.
Stop playing. Y'all gonna have me get up, start dancing on my podcast. Let's see what we got. There go the hook. Let me run it back.
Run it back.
That's the part I want to hear, that hook play. Okay. Now I'm gonna give you one I know you know.
What's that?
Alicia Keys, No One.
Oh, I thought you was gonna say Unthinkable.
No.
Oh,
Matter of fact, no one. You getting hard ones.
you know I love Alicia Keys.
We out of here, man. The Value Podcast. The valuable people attract people of value.